Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. Welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh, the food delivery service that brings food right to your doorstep. Get 8 free meals. That's $80 off your first month by heading over to HelloFresh.com and using the code Emmy80. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Now today I'm going to be exploring a hard times recipe for stone cookies. Good morning, it's 7:30 and we're heading to the airport, but we had to stop into Mountain View Bakery to get the famous stone cookie. And a bag of stone cookies. They've been made since 1936 during the Great Depression, and they are an island favorite. Now they're called stone cookies because, as you can imagine, they are hard as rocks. So I found a recipe for making these cookies in the Honolulu Star advertiser, and I will put the link down below. That's the recipe I'm going to be using and testing today. And I'm going to do a little taste test and comparison. What I found interesting about this recipe is that it contains no butter and no white refined sugar because those were difficult to find. So instead we're going to be using raw cane sugar and we're going to be using shortening. So I'm excited to do the little taste test comparison. But before I make the cookies, I'm going to open these up so I can see visually what these look like. I'm not going to taste them yet. I'm going to taste them together, but I want to see visually what these look like so I can kind of emulate that when we're making our homemade version. Oh my gosh, these are so huge. Look at these. Like, the bag is just one layer of cookies. I think there's maybe a dozen cookies in here, and these were about $7 a bag. So this is the original. I also got coconut and cinnamon, but we'll do that comparison later. So look at the size of these cookies. They're enormous, enormous. I love the irregular shape of them too. They're kind of oblong, but all of them are a little bit different. You can see where they were probably touching on the baking sheet, and they are very hard. Listen. Like clacking 2 pieces of wood or something. Incredibly hard. So I'm not going to taste these yet. I'm going to wait till I bake my version first, and then we'll do a little comparison. But now I know how dark they need to be when I bake them. Alrighty, so in a large bowl, we're going to start combining our ingredients for our stone cookie. First, we're going to add 4 cups of bread flour. Now, bread flour has a little bit more protein than typical all-purpose flour. Let me get a spatula. Okay. A half teaspoon of cream of tartar. Next, we're going to add a half cup of shortening, 1 cup of turbinado or raw cane sugar. Beautiful brown color to that. 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt, and I'm going to be using this. So this is Alalea sea salt. It is by the Diamond brand, Aloha Salt Company. So 1 1/4 teaspoons, quarter, half. Look at that beautiful pink color. Just mix this together till it's nice and fluffy. Let's plug it in, shall we? Turn it off, then we're gonna plug it in because it doesn't work without electricity. Right. We need power. Okay. All right, let's try that again. Okay, there we go. We're going to take 1/3 of a cup of evaporated milk. To that, we're going to add 1 egg. Oops, that was a great sound. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Come on, vanilla, really? Next, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. That combined with the cream of tartar will make our cookies rise a little bit. Now we're going to add our milk mixture, and then mix this into a dough. Okay, this looks pretty dry. Let's see what happens if we use our impeccably clean hands to kind of form this into a dough. Still seems pretty dry. Although if we kind of squish it, it does kind of come together. I'm gonna go ahead and add an extra tablespoon of milk, extra 2 tablespoons of milk. So I've got a baking tray lined with a little silicone mat. Pinch off some of the dough. It says to do a golf ball size, and then flatten it out to 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger than the recipe because I want them to look more similar to the ones that we're going to be taste testing. So They're about that big. Already these look drier and more crumbly. I'm kind of skeptical about this recipe. And then we're going to bake these in a 325-degree oven for 25 minutes or until these are nice and golden and hard. So while my cookies are baking, let me tell you a little bit more about HelloFresh. So HelloFresh brings seasonal, pre-measured ingredients right to your doorstep. It includes simple recipes in 6 steps. You can make a meal that comes together in 30 minutes. So HelloFresh is now from $6.99 per serving, and you can switch between classic, vegetarian, or family meals. This week, my family really enjoyed the sweet potato poblano quesadillas. Really easy to put together, and I love the fact that the recipes are designed to use a minimal number of pots. So cleanup is really, really fast and easy. So get started with 8 free meals. That's $80 off your first month of HelloFresh. Head over to HelloFresh.com and use the code Emmy80. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Now let's check on our cookies. Alrighty, so my cookies have come out of the oven. I'm letting them cool completely. So I've got some water coming up to the boil in the back here, because I'm going to fix myself a cup of coffee. Now this is Lion 100% Kona coffee. This is probably the most recognizable Hawaiian brand of coffee that you'll see when you go to Hawaii. I ground the beans in my little grinder here. I've got a mug here and my broken handled pour over that I brought all the way back from Japan. I mean, it works fine, so why do I need another one, right? Okay, 1 big scoop of that into my filter. So I've read that these cookies can be eaten without some kind of beverage, but you could potentially really chip a tooth. So I'm gonna get myself a beverage. So while my coffee continues to drip, let's open up the second bag of stone cookies I got, and this is the cinnamon coconut. These ones are equally big, and it looks like the cinnamon and coconut is actually in the cookie. These don't look like they're dusted at all. So I think the flavoring is in the cookie itself. So pretty indistinguishable. They look very, very similar. Now let me show you the DIY version. Now these don't look like the originals at all. They're much lumpier in texture on the surface. So the recipe said that if you wanted a glossier finish on your cookies, to paint them with a coat of milk, which I did here, and you can see that it does have a glossier finish, while these ones have kind of a matte finish. These don't look at all like the original. I also baked these about 10 or 15 minutes longer because I really wanted to develop this nice brown color. So they browned up nicely, although the bottom started to get a little bit darker pretty quickly. So I've been letting these cool because I want them to be really hard. And they do sound hard, but they don't look like the original. They look more like oatmeal cookies. So let's finally taste these cookies. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee first because I can't stand it. Delicious cup of coffee, nice and bitter, not very acidic at all. Bitter, pretty smooth, rich, full-bodied. Like that. Alrighty, let's taste the original stone cookie first. I'm gonna give it a break. That's what it looks like inside. And as you can hear, very hard. It smells great. It smells a little bit like biscuit cookies, like those Marie biscuit cookies or those Goya round cookies. Very similar kind of vanilla smell. All right, let's give this a little nibble without anything first. Very plain cookie, pretty sweet. And actually not as hard as I was expecting it to be. Quite hard, but nothing harder than, say, a biscotti. It's a little bit different texture than a biscotti. Biscotti have more of a coarser crunch to me. It's a little bit more gravelly, kind of like big rock chunks, while this kind of crumbles in your mouth a little bit. It's actually not very hard at all. The flavor is actually very similar to a fortune cookie. Kind of sweet, vanilla flavor, different texture, but similar kind of flavor profile. Stone cookies aren't actually that hard. I've actually had crackers in German MRE that are harder than these, so these are great. A very simple, plain little biscuit cookie. Now, let's dip it in coffee. Ho, ho, ho. Oh yes. That's particularly lovely with black coffee because these are sweetened. You dip it in there, you have your coffee soak up into the cookie, which it does very well. So it sweetens it. You've got a little bit of that vanilla flavor in there. Wonderful. Mmm. Biscuits and coffee or tea, just wonderful. So now let's compare that with the homemade version. Let's do the crunch test first. Ooh, so immediately, different color. These are much blonder in the middle. These are much darker in the middle. Crisp on the outside, but not that big crunch. Pretty good crunch on that, but it's really different. These are actually a lot more salty. While these probably do contain salt, you don't really notice them. These are noticeably salty. And in terms of flavor, I would say it's actually pretty similar. Kind of, again, very basic vanilla biscuit flavor. This one tastes a little bit more nutty and toasted. I did bake it for longer than what was instructed in the recipe. There are some similarities with the homemade to the original in terms of the crumb texture, kind of that fine kind of crumbliness. But superficially, it does not look at all like the original. I think there might have been a typo in the recipe, or perhaps I did something wrong, but it doesn't look like it much at all in the inside or on the outside. But the middle still has a kind of cookie-like texture in the middle, not completely hard like this one. But I like the original stone cookies. I like their humbleness. I like their simplicity. I love their look. That was the original. Let's taste the cinnamon coconut. Now this one is already broken. So same kind of brittle texture and big crunch as the original. Oh, I like that. Let's dip it with. Boy, I really like it with coffee. And that's great. There's a nice little coconutiness in there, a touch of cinnamon, but not enough to overpower anything, just kind of a little kiss of coconut. Really like that, actually. Now with the addition of coconut and cinnamon, it tastes a little bit more like those Malaysian butter coconut biscuits. Oh, I love those as well. But the coconut flavor is not as strong as those biscuits are. Those ones can be a little bit overpowering, almost like you're tasting suntan lotion or something. This doesn't taste like this. This tastes more like a desiccated coconut flavor, a little bit more natural. And then just a little bit of cinnamon, as if you're eating cinnamon toast or something. Delicious. Of the two, I think it would be a good toss-up for me. I like both of them. I love the humbleness, the humility of these cookies, the look of them, the stout sturdiness of them. They're great, especially with a nice hot cup of coffee. Alrighty, so there you have it, Mountain View stone cookies all the way from the Big Island in Hawaii. And like always, I will put links down below in case you want to learn more about these cookies. Thank you guys so much for watching. Big thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Get started with 8 free meals. That's $80 off your first month of HelloFresh by going to hellofresh.com and using the code Emmy80. Thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye!